The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For many years, the Great Galactic Council believed peace would last forever. Hundreds of alien species lived under one huge alliance. Treaties were strong. Trade routes were open. And wars were only old stories told to children. But everything began to change on a cold blue morning near the outer rim of the galaxy. A giant human warship, Astra 7, appeared above the frozen clouds of a distant planet. The warship was enormous, like a floating metal city. Its heavy engines burned with blue light. Its long, flat deck stretched like a steel desert. Anyone who saw it understood one thing. Humans were not here for peace today. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, hundreds of alien diplomats waited in fear. They had never seen humans call an emergency meeting before. Humans were known for calm decisions, careful thinking, and late reactions. If humans moved this fast, something terrible must have happened. Every species whispered among themselves. Why did they call us? Is there danger? Has someone attacked their borders? If humans are angry, then the whole galaxy will shake. The huge doors of the council chamber suddenly opened with a deep metallic echo. Every diplomat froze. A group of human soldiers marched in first. Their armor was silver white, shining under the bright council lights. They stood at attention, silent and still, guarding the entrance. Then he entered. Human diplomat Eric Hale. Tall, calm, eyes sharp like cold steel. His steps were slow but firm, as if he carried the weight of 1,000 worlds on his shoulders. He didn't bow. He didn't smile. He didn't greet anyone. He simply walked to the center of the chamber and placed a burnt, blackened object on the main table. The room went silent. The object was small, but terrifying. This metal was twisted. Its lights were broken. Smoke still leaked from its edges. Everyone recognized it instantly. It was a human colony beacon, something only used by peaceful civilian settlements. And it was destroyed. Eric Hale finally lifted his head. His voice was calm, but every word hit like a thunder strike. We're going to war. The entire hall erupted in shock. Some aliens gasped. Some shouted. Some trembled with fear. The council leader, an 8-eyed creature named Selran, tried to speak, but her voice cracked. War? Humans, war? This cannot be. Who attacked your colony? Who would dare? Eric raised his hand. Silence returned instantly. He tapped the burnt beacon. A hologram opened above the table. Everyone leaned forward. The hologram showed the human colony called Eden 4, a peaceful settlement on the edge of human space. The place looked beautiful. Forests, mountains, glowing blue lakes. Families lived there. Scientists worked there. Children played in the open fields. Then, the attack began. A dark shadow crossed the sky. A strange energy beam struck the colony. Buildings exploded. Forests burned. People ran, screaming, but the shockwave swept across everything. The entire colony disappeared in 42 seconds. The hologram shook with static and ended. The chamber filled with horrified whispers. This is impossible. That weapon is unknown. No species here has such technology. What monster did this? Eric Hale's expression did not change. His voice remained steady. The attackers left no message, no warning, no symbol, only destruction. Selran trembled. Ambassador Hale, are you certain humanity wants war? Perhaps we can negotiate. Perhaps we can communicate with this enemy. Eric shook his head slowly. There is no negotiation with something that kills 20,000 civilians in seconds. He leaned forward, his eyes scanning the entire hall. But we do not know what attacked us. And until we know, no world in this galaxy is safe. He pressed another button. A second hologram appeared. This time it was something else. A strange energy signature, glowing red and unstable. This was recorded in the ruins, he said. No species in this council uses this design. A tall reptile-like diplomat hissed softly. I have seen something similar in our ancient records. Eric looked at him sharply. What records? The alien swallowed nervously. The legends of the Devourers. Gasps filled the room. Everyone knew the name. An ancient, vanished species. A predator race that destroyed entire solar systems thousands of years ago. A horror story whispered in the dark. But no proof of their existence was ever found. Until now. Eric Hale spoke again. His voice was calm, but there was a shadow behind it. We believe whoever destroyed Eden wanted to test their weapon. And they chose humans because we defend ourselves fiercely. If we fall, every other species will be easier to conquer. The silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. Eric looked around the hall and said, "We came here not to ask permission. We came to warn you. War is coming. Whether you stand with us or not, humanity will fight." Aliens stared at him, unable to speak. He reached out and picked up the burnt beacon. He held it high, letting everyone see it clearly. "This colony was not the first target," he said. "And it will not be the last." The lights flickered suddenly. A deep rumbling shook the council floor. The diplomats panicked. What was that? Is someone attacking? Are they here already? Eric turned toward the large window of the chamber. Dark shadows moved in the distance. Silent, fast, unknown. His eyes narrowed. They're here. The council lights went out. The room fell into darkness. The room fell into darkness. Only the sound of frightened breathing filled the air. For a moment no one moved. No one spoke. Every alien in the chamber felt the same cold truth. The enemy had arrived. Red emergency lights flickered on. The long hall turned dark and bloody, glowing with danger. The great window behind the council flashed again, showing fast-moving shadows outside. Eric Hale stayed calm. His voice cut through the panic like a blade. "Everyone stay down." A loud blast hit the station. The floor shook violently. Many diplomats fell from their seats, grabbing anything they could to keep balance. The station's alarms screamed. Warning. Unknown ships detected. Shield failure in Sector 4. Selran, the council leader, shouted in panic. "Ambassador Hale, what is happening? Who are they?" Eric's eyes stayed fixed on the window. "I think," he said coldly, "we just got our answer." Outside, shapes slowly came into view. Dark, sharp, insect-like ships moving with unnatural speed. They didn't glow. They didn't use normal engines. They seemed to glide like shadows come alive. One alien screamed, "Devourers! They're real!" Another shouted, "This cannot be! They vanished thousands of years ago." Eric corrected him, voice steady as steel. "They didn't vanish. They were waiting." The enemy ships opened fire. A silent beam cut through the dark space and sliced a whole section off the council station. There was no explosion, just a flash of red and then nothing. Entire walls vanished like dust. The hall shook. Ceilings cracked. Panels fell. Screams filled the air. Eric grabbed the council table to stay upright and shouted to the panicking diplomats. "Evacuate the hall. Move now." Human soldiers, already trained for disaster, moved quickly. They formed a protective shield around the diplomats, guiding them through smoke-filled hallways. Another violent impact hit the station. The lights exploded. A section of the ceiling collapsed. A huge metal beam swung down toward Selran. Eric reacted instantly. He jumped forward, grabbed her arm, and pulled her to safety just before the beam smashed into the floor with a thunderous crash. Dust filled the air. Sparks flew like fireflies. Selran looked at him, shaking. "You saved me. Why?" Eric replied without hesitation, "Because if you die, this council dies. And if the council dies, the galaxy dies." They pushed forward with the crowd. The attack grows worse. Small spider-like drones began crawling through broken vents and walls. Their bodies were covered in black alloy. Their glowing red eyes scanned everything alive. Then they jumped. One diplomat fell as a drone pierced his chest. His scream echoed through the hallways and then stopped instantly. The drones didn't kill for defense, they killed for instinct. Eric shouted, "Shoot them! Aim for the core under their eyes." Human soldiers fired. Blue energy bolts hit the drones, destroying them one by one. But for every drone destroyed, 3 more crawled through the ruins. Selran cried, "We cannot hold them. They are too many." Eric replied calmly, "Then we move faster." A secret meeting in the middle of chaos. During the escape, Eric spotted someone suspicious. An ambassador wearing a long silver cloak was moving away from the group, heading toward a sealed chamber. Eric recognized him. Ambassador Trask of the Vorn Empire. Trask was sweating. His hands shook. He was trying to open a secure door using a stolen council key. Eric approached slowly and spoke coldly. "Ambassador Trask, why are you leaving the evacuation path?" Trask froze. He didn't turn around. His voice cracked. I have to protect something important." Eric stepped closer. "What is more important than survival right now?" Trask's eyes darted nervously. I know what attacked your colony. I know what these ships are. My people discovered something months ago. Something we hid." Eric's eyes narrowed. "What did you hide?" Before Trask could answer, a devourer drone crawled onto the ceiling above him. His claws reached downward. Eric reacted instantly. He fired his sidearm, blasting the drone apart. Trask screamed and dropped to the ground. Eric grabbed him by the arm. "Talk. Now, what do you know?" Trask finally confessed, his voice shaking. "We found a crashed devourer ship on our moon. We kept it secret. We wanted to study it, to use its technology." Eric's face turned cold as ice. "You risked the galaxy for power?" Trask whispered. "We didn't think they were still alive. Please, I have the data. I can help you." Before Eric could respond, the entire corridor trembled violently. The devourers had cut deeper into the station. A giant hole ripped open the outer wall. Cold space wind roared in. Everything not bolted down flew outward. Eric grabbed a metal bar with one hand and held Trask with the other. Diplomats screamed as the vacuum tried to drag them into space. Human soldiers activated a portable shield generator. A blue barrier formed, preventing total decompression. But the station was dying. Eric shouted over the noise, "We have to reach the hangar. Astra 7 can protect us." Selran yelled from behind him, "We can't reach the hangar. The pathways are blocked." Eric looked down the smoky hallway, eyes sharp. "There is another way," he said. "A maintenance tunnel behind the power core. But it's risky." Selran replied, "We have no choice. Let us." Eric nodded once. "Stay close. Don't stop. Don't look back." He turned and began moving down the dark corridor. Behind them, the devourer ships crawled closer. Their whispers echoed through the broken halls, a sound that didn't belong to any living creature. And so Eric led the council into the shadows of the dying station, not knowing what waited in the darkness ahead. Eric led the council into the shadows of the dying station, not knowing what waited in the darkness ahead. The maintenance corridor was narrow, cold, and barely lit by flickering red lights. Pipes hissed. Loose wires sparked like angry snakes. The metal floor vibrated under their feet as the station continued to break apart. Selran held her chest, trying to breathe. "Ambassador Hale, how far is this tunnel?" Eric answered without slowing down. 2 levels down. If we reach the power core room, we can use the emergency ladder to access the hangar deck. Trask whispered from behind, shaking with fear. "If the devourers reach the power core first, the station will explode." Eric didn't look back. "Then we don't give them the chance." The group hurried forward, stepping over broken metal panels and smoking wires. Behind them, faint clicking noises echoed in the distance. Selran stopped. "Did you hear that?" Eric raised a hand, signaling silence. The clicking stopped. Everyone held their breath. Then the sound returned, louder this time. Click, 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 click. Eric whispered, "They're tracking us." Inside the tunnel, they quickened their pace. The tunnel became darker and narrower. Cold steam escaped from fractured pipes. The air smelled of burnt metal. Trask almost slipped, but Eric caught him. "Stay focused," Eric warned. "One mistake will get us killed." As they moved deeper, they reached a small junction. The walls here were scratched, melted, and bent unnaturally. Selran pointed at the marks. What happened here? Eric knelt down and touched the metal. Crumbled like ash. Energy claws, he said quietly. Devourer drones were here. A sudden tremor shook the tunnel, almost knocking everyone down. A blast echoed behind them, an entire section of the station collapsing. Selran gasped. They're destroying everything. Why attack the council? What do they want? Eric answered without emotion. They're not after the council. They're after information. Your archives hold ancient star maps and weapon data. The Devourers want them. Trask whispered. If they get the maps, they will know every hidden path in the galaxy. Eric's voice was firm. That's why we need to stop them. A quiet place that was not quiet. They reached a wider chamber, an old maintenance hub with broken screens and a large vent in the ceiling. The lights flickered weakly. Eric raised a hand. Rest for 10 seconds. Stay alert. Selran leaned on a wall, exhausted. Some diplomats sat on the floor, shaking. Trask walked nervously to a console and tried to access station systems. Eric approached him. Trying to delete your secret data? Trask flinched. Yes, if the Devourers get it, everything is lost. Eric stared hard at him. You had this information for months. You could have warned us. You could have warned the entire council. Trask lowered his head. I was afraid my empire would lose power. Afraid humans would blame us. Eric whispered coldly. You should fear what's coming more. Suddenly, Selran shouted. Eric! Above you! Eric turned. From the large ceiling vent, something crawled out. A devourer drone bigger than the ones before. Its long legs scraped the metal. Its red eyes glowed. Its mouth opened, releasing a screech that froze everyone in fear. Eric pulled his weapon and fired. The bolt hit the drone's chest. It staggered but didn't fall. It jumped down with terrifying speed. Eric rolled aside as its claws smashed into the floor where he stood seconds earlier, leaving a melted hole. Human soldiers fired together, finally breaking its core. The drone collapsed, shaking violently as red lights faded from its body. Selran whispered, If one drone followed us, more will come. Eric nodded. They already have, because from the tunnel behind them, the clicking sounds grew louder, much louder. Eric motioned everyone forward. We move. Now. They ran, following a narrow metal bridge that led to a huge circular door with warning signs glowing. Selran asked, breathless, This is the power core? Yes, Eric said. Behind this door is the ladder to the hangar. Trask stepped forward and used the council key to unlock the massive door. It opened slowly, too slowly. From the darkness behind them, dozens of red eyes appeared. Selran cried, They're coming. Eric grabbed the door and pushed with all his strength. Inside. Go. Diplomats rushed through the opening. Human soldiers took position, firing at the incoming drones. Eric entered last and hit the emergency button. The door slammed shut as drones leaped toward it. Bang! Bang! Sarararr. Claws scraped violently from the other side. Selran covered her ears. They will break through. Eric shook his head. Not this door. It's reinforced. Trask exhaled in relief. But Eric wasn't relieved, because the power core chamber was not safe. Not even close. Inside the power core room, giant energy cylinders glowed bright blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. Pipes hummed. Steam rose from vents. The room was huge, with a deep pit in the center and the emergency ladder leading upward on the far side. Eric pointed. There. That ladder leads to the hangar deck. Astra 7 will detect us once we enter the upper hall. Selran nodded. Then let us hurry. They started crossing the metal walkway when Trask suddenly froze. His eyes widened. His voice trembled. Oh no, no. This can't be. Selran turned. What is it now? Trask pointed toward the far corner of the chamber. Eric looked, and there, standing perfectly still in the shadows, was a tall figure. Not a drone, not a machine, but something alive. His body was made of black metal and organic flesh mixed together. Its long limbs glowed faint red. Its eyes burned like fire. A devourer commander. Eric felt his heartbeat slow. Selran whispered, terrified, "They are already here." The commander stepped forward slowly, its voice echoing like a whisper inside their minds. "Human, you should not have returned." Every diplomat stepped back in horror. The commander raised its claw. Energy gathered at its fingertips. Eric pushed Selran behind him, pulling out his weapon. "Stay behind me," he said calmly. The room fell silent as the alien commander's words echoed in the humans' minds. Admiral Rylan felt a cold, sharp fear run down his spine, but his face stayed calm. He knew enemies watched every small reaction, every breath. He also knew something even more dangerous. The alien commander was not lying. The Zorati Empire had destroyed their own colony ship. But the question was why? Rylan inhaled slowly. He turned his chair just a little, silently signaling Kale, the human diplomat standing behind him. Kale understood the signal instantly. His job was to speak when the situation became delicate, and right now, they were standing on a blade's edge. Kale stepped forward. "Commander Vorik," he said, voice steady. "If your empire destroyed your own ship, then someone wanted this war to begin. Someone from your side. Someone powerful." Vorik's claws tightened around the metal of the hollow table. His eyes flashed bright yellow. "Do not accuse us," he snarled. "We are not foolish. We saw the explosion. We saw the data. It was a human torpedo." Kale didn't step back. Instead, he leaned in slightly. "That's exactly what someone wanted you to believe." The room vibrated with tension. Even the air felt heavy. Commander Vorik's soldiers shifted behind him. Their armor clicked like grinding stone. Admiral Rylan spoke next, his voice calm but firm. "Commander, you know how our weapons leave signatures. Someone copied them. Someone forged evidence. Someone wants blood." Vorik glared, but Rylan noticed something. A flicker of doubt. It was small, but it was real. Kale followed that flicker. "We are not your enemy," he continued softly. "But the thing that destroyed your ship, that enemy is very real. And it is not human." Vorik stayed silent. The entire hall waited. Even the air stopped moving. Then finally, the alien commander said, low and cold, "Show me your proof." Rylan nodded to his tactical officer, Lyra. She tapped her wrist display, and the hologram changed again. This time it showed the wreckage of the Zorati ship, zoomed in on a particular twisted piece of metal. "This is your torpedo launcher section," Lyra explained. "Notice the burn marks? The pattern is reversed. Human weapons explode outward. This one exploded inward first." Vorik stepped closer, his pupils narrowing. "Inward, meaning the blast began inside the weapon." "Exactly," Lyra replied. "A planted device. Something hidden. Something that needed access to the ship long before it launched." Kale added, "Someone inside your own empire, someone with power, wanted you to attack us." For the first time, Vorik did not growl. He did not shout. He looked uncertain. And that uncertainty was dangerous because if he chose the wrong conclusion, millions could die. Vorik spoke slowly. "If what you say is true, then there is a traitor in the empire." Rylan met his gaze. "And that traitor wants war." Voices whispered behind Vorik. His officers looked shaken. Their tails twitched nervously, their claws tapping against armor. War was their instinct, but this was different. Kale stepped forward again, lowering his voice. "Commander, please. If we fight now, we fall right into the trap. The one who caused this will win." Vorik's eyes narrowed. "Why would they want war now?" Rylan answered. "Because a divided galaxy is easier to conquer." The alien commander's eyes widened slightly. He understood. Every warrior understood that logic. Suddenly, the entire hall shook. A deep rumble rolled through the floor, making weapons rattle and lights flicker. Vorik turned sharply toward his officers. "What was that?" A Zorati soldier checked his console. "Commander, a ship just uncloaked at the edge of the system. Unknown signature. Not human. Not Zorati." Kale felt his throat tighten. Ryland's heartbeat quickened. Lyra raised her head slowly, her face pale. Then who is it? The soldier swallowed hard. Commander. They are charging weapons. Silence fell. Cold, deadly silence. Commander Vorik stared at Rylan, and for the first time, both shared the same expression. They were not enemies. They were targets. Rylan stood. Commander, now do you believe us? Vorik didn't answer directly. Instead, he turned to his soldiers. Raise shields. Battle positions. Then he looked at Rylan with fierce determination. This is not your war alone, nor mine. Something else is coming. Kale stepped beside Rylan and whispered, This changes everything. But before Rylan could respond, the unknown ship fired a blinding beam of white energy across space. And the war everyone feared was about to begin in a completely different way. The white beam of energy sliced across space like a burning spear. Both human and Zorati ships turned their shields toward the incoming attack, but even then, the impact shook them violently. The hall where Admiral Rylan and Commander Vorik stood trembled, lights flickering as sparks fell from a broken console. Kale grabbed the edge of the holotable to keep his balance. What kind of weapon is that? He shouted over the rumbling. Lyra checked her wrist display, but even she looked confused. It's not like anything in our database, she said. It doesn't match human tech or Zorati. Commander Vorik snarled, but this time not at the humans. Unknown enemy. Unknown intentions. They fire first without warning. He turned sharply to his soldiers. Prepare for counterattack. Admiral Rylan raised a hand. Wait. Vorik whipped around, eyes flashing. Your hesitation will kill us. Rylan stepped closer, voice calm but firm. Commander, listen. We don't know how many ships they have. We don't know their strength. If we strike blindly, we lose the chance to learn. Vorik growled but didn't interrupt. Kale joined in, speaking fast and clear. And if they wanted us dead instantly, they would have fired at full power. That beam wasn't meant to destroy. It was a warning shot. The hall went silent. Even Vorik stopped moving. A warning? He repeated, narrowing his eyes. Then what message do they wish to send? No one knew. And that made it even more terrifying. Lyra suddenly gasped. Admiral, Commander, they're sending a transmission. Rylan's heartbeat quickened. Put it up. The holotable flickered, then stabilized. A strange symbol appeared, sharp curves, glowing lines, shapes that neither human nor Zorati recognized. Pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Vorik stepped closer. What language is this? Kale shook his head. It's not language. It's a code. The symbol shifted again, multiplying, forming a pattern. Rylan stared at it, his eyes widening. It's a countdown. The room froze. Vorik bared his teeth. Countdown to what? Lyra's voice trembled. To impact, or invasion, or something worse. They watched as the glowing numbers shifted. 2 minutes and 59 seconds. 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Kale inhaled sharply. We need to move. Now. Vorik's soldiers scrambled, alarms blaring across the hall. But something else happened at the same time. The unknown ship stopped firing. It simply waited, watching, silent, like a predator playing with its prey. What do they want? Rylan muttered, staring at the countdown. Then he noticed something. The pattern of symbols wasn't random. They repeated in a specific rhythm. Lyra noticed too. Admiral, this isn't just a countdown. It's coordinates. Vorik spun around. Coordinates to where? Lyra tapped rapidly on her display. The hologram zoomed out, showing the star map around them. She pointed at a distant location. A small, dim star system with no colonies. No bases, nothing but empty space. There, she said. Vorik frowned. Why show us that? Kale exhaled slowly. For one reason, they want us to go there. The implication hit everyone at the same moment. A trap. Or an invitation. Rylan's voice dropped to a whisper. They're pulling us in. Vorik glared at the star map. His claws tapped against the holotable, thinking, calculating. He looked at Rylan. If this is a trap, your people and mine may not return. Rylan nodded calmly. If we stay here, we die anyway. The countdown ticked. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Kale stepped closer. Commander, Admiral, whatever this is, it's bigger than our conflict. Someone destroyed a Zorati ship. Someone faked evidence. Someone wants a war between our people. Vorek's eyes burned with realization. And now this unknown faction appears. At the exact moment tensions reach their peak. He looked at Rylan. They want us divided. Rylan finished the thought. So we can't fight them. The hall vibrated again. Another small shockwave, like the enemy ship reminding them time was running out. 54 seconds. Vorek made his decision. He faced Rylan and extended his arm, Zorati style, an ancient gesture of temporary alliance. Rylan stared at it for half a second. Then he gripped the alien's arm firmly. For the first time in the galaxy's history, humans and Zorati stood together. Kale let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. So what now? Vorek turned toward his soldiers. We prepare our fleets. Rylan followed. We go to the coordinates. Lyra looked at both leaders. And if it's a trap? Vorek answered with a cold smile. Then we spring it. The countdown hit the final seconds. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3 seconds. The hall lights dimmed. The unknown ship pulsed with bright energy. Kale felt a chill run through his bones. Something massive was coming. 2 seconds. 1 second. The countdown reached 0. And then, something opened in space. Not an explosion, not a beam, but a tear, like the universe itself was being sliced open. A dark shape began emerging. Something enormous. Something alive. Something that did not come in peace. Space tore open like a black wound. Everyone inside the command hall froze as the dark shape continued rising from the glowing tier. It wasn't metal. It wasn't a ship. It was something else entirely. Something alive, ancient, and massive enough to block the starlight. Kale whispered, barely able to breathe. What is that? No one answered, because no one had words for it. The creature's skin looked like shifting stone, glowing lines crawling under its surface like molten veins. Dozens of eyes, round, unblinking, golden, opened one by one, all focusing on the human and Zorati fleets. Vorek's soldiers stepped back instinctively. Lyra's voice shook. Admiral, Commander, this is not a ship. It's a living being. The creature let out a sound, deep, slow, and powerful, like a dying star releasing its final scream. The unknown ship that fired earlier moved toward the creature, almost like it was bowing. Rylan's breath caught in his throat. They're not attacking us. They're summoning something. Commander Vorek growled low. This is their true weapon. The creature stretched its long, jagged limbs, ripping the edges of space even wider. Each movement made the hulls of both fleets tremble. Its eyes glowed brighter, and the tear behind it began to stabilize into a massive portal. Kale felt a sharp dread rising inside him. Whatever is coming next, it's bigger than this thing. Lyra tapped into her scanner. The tear, it's a gateway. Something else is on the other side. Something large enough to distort gravity. Vorek clenched his jaw. We cannot face this alone. Rylan nodded. We move toward the coordinates. Immediately, but before the fleets could reposition, the creature shifted its gaze. All of its golden eyes focused on the two leaders inside the hall, as if it could see them through the ship's hull. Kale's heart stopped. It's watching us. The creature raised one of its enormous limbs. Light gathered at the tip, forming a swirling sphere of crackling energy. The unknown ship pulled back, making space for the attack. Lyra shouted, It's charging. The creature fired. A beam of dark blue energy shot toward the Zorati command ship. Vorek slammed his fist onto the hollow table. Shields up. Brace. The impact hit like a planet smashing into another. Every soldier in the hall was thrown off balance. Panels burst. Sparks rained. The entire ship groaned under the force. Kale hit the floor but forced himself up. If that thing fires again, we won't survive. Vorik turned to Rylan, eyes burning. We run. Together. Rylan didn't hesitate. Agreed. The fleets rallied instantly, human cruisers moving alongside Zorati warships for the first time in history. Engines roared to life as they turned toward the star system marked in the countdown message. But the creature wasn't finished. Lyra looked at the scanners. It's following us. Vorik glared at the screen. Then we lead it away. Rylan stepped forward. No. We lead it to the coordinates. Kale blinked in confusion. To the place it sent us? Why? Rylan's voice stayed steady. Because whoever sent that message knew this thing was coming. They wanted us to go there. And right now, that's our only chance. Vorik stared at him, the weight of the decision heavy in his eyes. You trust a mysterious warning from an unknown enemy? Rylan sighed. I trust the fact that staying here means death. For a moment Vorik said nothing. Then he nodded once. Then we go. Outside, the fleets accelerated. Engines glowed bright, pushing their ships toward the distant star system. The creature roared again, ripping after them through space. Its movements twisting gravity, bending light, tearing small cracks in reality itself. Kale watched the display, fear crawling through him. This thing, it's like a living weapon, Lyra whispered. Or a scout. Those words hit everyone. If this monster was only a scout, then something far worse waited behind the portal. Alarms blared suddenly. Vorik turned sharply. What now? Lyra stared at her screen, eyes widening. The portal is widening, and, Admiral, Commander, more shapes are coming through. Rylan rushed to look. Dozens, then hundreds. Dark silhouettes entering the galaxy one by one. Kale felt sick. This isn't an attack. It's an invasion. Rylan placed a hand on the table, steadying himself. Then we're out of time. Vorik growled. Push the engines. Every ship to full speed. The fleets shot forward, stars streaking past as they raced into unknown space. Behind them, the creatures swarmed like a shadow tide, spreading across the stars. Kale gripped the railing. Admiral, what awaits us at the coordinates? Rylan stared into the darkness ahead. An answer, a trap, or a miracle. Lyra added quietly, but whatever it is, it's our last hope. The Zorati ship shuddered again as another shockwave hit, from the enormous creature chasing them. The hall lights flickered. Vorik shouted over the noise. Hold on. We are entering warp. The entire ship glowed as engines reached maximum power. Space stretched. Stars bent. The fleet vanished into warp space in a blazing flash. But the creature followed. Its enormous body forced its way into the warp corridor, ripping it wider, screaming with cosmic fury as it chased the allied fleets through the tunnel. Kale shouted, It's gaining on us. Vorik's voice thundered. Faster! The ship shook violently, metal bending, alarms screaming. Then, something huge appeared in their path. A structure, a station, a colossal ring floating in deep space, older than any civilization. Lyra gasped. We're here. The coordinates. Kale whispered. What is that thing? Rylan stared ahead, eyes wide. It's a gate. The giant structure lit up, ancient runes glowing, activating as the fleets approached. Behind them, the creature roared and lunged forward, ready to crush them all. And then, the gate activated. A burst of impossible light filled the chamber. Vorik shouted, Hold on! The fleet plunged into the gate, and everything went white. Everything went white. For several seconds, Admiral Rylan, Commander Vorik, Kale, Lyra, and the entire fleet felt weightless, like they were falling without moving. No sound, no light, no sense of direction. Then reality snapped back. The Zorati command hall flickered into view again. The ship systems rebooted, screens lighting one by one. Kale blinked hard, trying to understand where, or when they were. Lyra was the first to speak. Admiral, Commander, we are not in normal space anymore. Vorik steadied himself. Explain. She zoomed the hologram out. The star map was blank. No stars, no planets, just a dark void, filled with drifting fragments of ancient structures. Broken rings, cracked towers, shattered metallic debris, floating like the remains of an impossible city. Kale whispered, "Is this a graveyard?" Rylan shook his head slowly. "No, this is older than a graveyard. This is the place where something powerful once lived." Vorik narrowed his eyes. "Or still lives." A faint glow appeared in the distance. At first it looked like a star, but as the display enhanced, it became clear. It was a structure, a massive one, a perfect sphere of white light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Kale felt the hairs on his neck rise. "That wasn't here a moment ago." Lyra stared, confused. "It just activated." Then the ship's sensors picked up something else. A voice, not through speakers, not through comms, but inside their minds. "Welcome, travelers." The hall froze. Kale stumbled back. "Did you all hear that?" Vorik's soldiers looked terrified, their claws tightening on their weapons. Rylan forced himself to stay calm. "Yes, we all heard it." The sphere of light expanded, stretching like it was breathing. A shape began to form inside, tall, humanoid, glowing with soft white energy. It wasn't solid. It wasn't entirely real. It floated toward them, surrounded by swirling patterns of light. Lyra took a step back. "That's not a physical being. It's a projection. But the energy level is enormous." The figure spoke again, this time out loud, echoing across the hall like music mixed with thunder. "You come seeking answers." Vorik roared, lifting his weapon. "Show yourself. Are you responsible for the creature that chased us?" The glowing figure didn't move. "The creature you saw is not ours. It is a harvester, a servant of the void." Kale frowned. "The void? What is that?" The figure's voice deepened, filled with ancient sorrow. "The end of all stars, the consumer of life. It comes from beyond reality." The hall grew colder. Even Vorik's confidence wavered. Rylan stepped forward. "Why did you send us coordinates? Why bring us here?" The figure turned its glowing head toward him. "Because your galaxy has been marked." Kale's blood ran cold. "Marked? For what?" The being's answer came like a thunderstorm. "For extinction." Everyone froze. The being continued. "The harvesters enter a galaxy when it is weak, when its species are divided. War between humans and Zerati would have opened the way." Vorik lowered his weapon slowly. "So someone wanted us to fight, to make the harvesters stronger." The glowing figure nodded. "Yes, your enemies are not each other." Lyra swallowed. "Then who?" The figure shifted, its light flickering like a dying flame. "Those who serve the void. They hid among you. They manipulated your evidence. They broke your alliance. They called the harvester." Kale's eyes widened in shock. "Inside our governments?" The being did not answer directly. "The void's servants wear many faces. You will see them soon." Then the sphere of light pulsed violently. The hall shook. Rylan grabbed the table. "What's happening?" The figure turned toward the glowing tier behind them, the portal they had escaped through. Its voice dropped to a whisper. "The harvester has followed you." One of the soldiers shouted. "Impossible! Nothing can survive warp space like that." The figure raised a hand. "Harvesters move between worlds. They are not bound by your laws." Outside the ship, the void twisted. A dark shape began to emerge. Massive, horrible, familiar. The creature. Its eyes glowed brighter than before, filled with rage. Kale felt his heart stop. "It found us." The figure spoke urgently. "The gate you entered is a weapon, a last defense against the void." Vorik stared at the glowing sphere. "A weapon? How does it work?" The figure's voice grew faint, weakening. "Activate the core, or your galaxy will fall." The creature roared outside. The void around them trembled. The figure flickered. "Hurry!" Then it vanished. The hall went silent for half a second, before the entire ship shook violently. Kale shouted, "It's attacking the gate." Lyra looked at the map. "Admiral Commander, The gate's core is in the center of this broken world. We need to get there before the harvester destroys everything. Vorik slammed his fist on the controls. Then we move now. Rylan nodded. All ships, follow us. The fleets accelerated toward the sphere of broken structures and ancient ruins. Behind them, the harvester roared and lunged forward, tearing reality apart as it chased them. The harvester roared as it tore through the void, its massive body twisting and stretching like a living shadow. Every movement cracked reality like broken glass. Behind it, the portal it came from collapsed into sparks, trapping everyone in this strange ancient world. Kale gripped the railing as the Zorati command ship flew between shattered metal towers and giant floating ruins. "Admiral, it's gaining on us," he shouted. Vorik growled. "Then fly faster." But even he knew speed alone would not save them. Lyra pointed at the glowing map projected above the holotable. The gate's core is located deep inside this ancient megastructure. These ruins are not random. They form a maze. Rylan leaned closer. "Can we navigate it?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, if the ships hold together." Outside, human fighters and Zorati interceptors flew side by side, weaving between broken pillars and sharp debris. Every second, the harvester's golden eyes flashed behind them, searching, tracking, hunting. Kale swallowed hard. "It wants the core." Rylan looked at him. "And we cannot let it reach it first." Vorik pointed ahead. There, the central chamber. The ruins opened into a giant circular space, like a hollow sphere made of ancient stone and metal. In the center floated a massive structure, a glowing engine of swirling white energy, surrounded by rings that rotated slowly like the heartbeat of a dying world. The core of the gate. But something was wrong. The energy around it flickered, dimming, weakening. Lyra's eyes widened. "The core, it's collapsing. If it dies, this whole place will fall apart." Kale turned pale. "So we need to activate it before the harvester destroys everything." Rylan nodded firmly. "Then we land." Vorik grinned fiercely. "About time we fight on the ground." The combined fleet landed on a giant platform near the core chamber. Human soldiers and Zorati warriors rushed out together, forming a defensive line around the entrance. Kale looked at the glowing heart of the core, floating high above them. "How do we reach it?" Lyra pointed to an ancient lift platform nearby. "There. It still has power." Vorik cracked his neck. "Then move." The lift began rising, carrying Rylan, Vorik, Kale, Lyra, and a squad of mixed soldiers upward toward the core's energy rings, which crackled with unstable white lightning. But before they could reach it, a shadow fell over them. Everyone froze. The harvester dropped into the chamber, crashing through the cracked ceiling like a god of destruction. Dust and fragments exploded everywhere. Its enormous claws dug into the ruined walls. All its golden eyes focused on them. Kale whispered, "We're trapped." Vorik lifted his weapon. "Not trapped. Cornered." Rylan stepped forward, staring at the monster boldly. "It followed us because it knows the truth." Kale blinked. "What truth?" Rylan's voice remained calm, steady, unshaking. "That this core is the only thing in this world that can kill it." The creature roared, shaking the chamber so hard the metal rings cracked. Lyra screamed over the noise. "It's absorbing energy from the chamber. The core is weakening faster." Vorik shouted to the soldiers, "Fire! All units, open fire!" Human rifles and Zorati plasma cannons unleashed everything they had. Streams of glowing projectiles hit the harvester, but the creature absorbed most of it, its skin shifting like liquid shadow. Kale fired too, his hands shaking. "Nothing's hurting it." "It's not meant to," Rylan yelled. "Just distract it long enough for us to activate the core." The lift reached the final platform, bringing them face to face with the ancient energy rings of the gate. The air burned with heat and static. Sparks danced around them. Lyra ran to a glowing console built into the stone floor. "I think I can power it back up, but I need time." Vorik stepped in front of her. "Then we buy you time." The harvester thundered closer, smashing debris aside, crushing metal under its claws. Its eyes glowed brighter, charging another attack. Rylan shouted, "Kale! With me!" Together they climbed a narrow walkway toward the top of the core. Lyra connected the ancient console to her wrist display, typing fast. Almost. Just need a few more seconds. But seconds were something they didn't have. The harvester roared and fired a beam of dark blue energy toward the top of the platform, aiming straight at Lyra. Vorik threw himself in front of her, absorbing the blast on his shield. The force pushed him back, sparks flying as his armor burned. Kale screamed, "Commander!" Vorik stumbled, dropping to one knee, smoke rising from his armor. But he growled, "I am not done." He rose again, swinging his plasma blade at the creature's limb as it reached for them. The blade cut deep, and, for the first time, the harvester recoiled. It was hurt. Kale's eyes widened. "We can hurt it." Rylan shook his head. "No, that was just pain, not damage." The creature turned toward Vorik, eyes blazing with fury. Lyra yelled over the alarms. "I got it." The core's rings lit up one by one. Bright white light spread through the chamber like sunrise. Rylan grabbed Kale. "Get ready. When the core reaches full power, we activate the purge." Vorik roared, "Do it now." The harvester lunged. The core exploded in blinding light. The entire chamber shook, and the world began to fall apart. Kale covered his eyes as the energy roared around them. He felt the ground break, felt reality bending. Rylan screamed, "Lyra! The purge! Now!" Lyra slammed her hand down on the console. A massive wave of energy blasted outward, white, pure, burning everything dark in its path. The harvester turned too late. It roared in agony as the blast hit it, its body breaking, its shadows burning, the scream shaking the void. And then, it was gone, vaporized. Silence. Everyone stood frozen. Kale breathed heavily, his voice shaking. We did it." But Rylan did not smile. He stared at the dying core, its rings cracking, the entire world collapsing around them. "No," he whispered. This was only the first one. The chamber buckled. The platform began falling. Vorik shouted, "The world is collapsing. We have to get back to the ships." Lyra grabbed Kale's arm. "Move." They raced down the crumbling walkway as giant pieces of the ancient structure fell around them. Light exploded. The air shook. The chamber cracked open. Rylan shouted, "Everyone, evacuate now." Behind them, through the collapsing ruins, a final, terrifying message echoed from the dying core. "The void is coming." And then the ground gave way beneath their feet, dropping them into darkness.